So here's one for the practice pad. And this is an exercise that's going to help you learn how your stick bounces and how it moves in your hand. And this is a highly underrated practice because this will stay with you for years and years to come. And if you've been drumming for years and years, you know how we're always going back to the basics, and we can never get enough of just learning how the stick works in our hands. This is something that is lifelong. So to get started, we're going to bounce the stick and just let it free bounce. And what that means is grabbing your stick in the way that you would grip it if you were going to play it. So some pressure up here between the thumb and the index finger, and keeping your fingers lightly wrapped around the back of the stick. And we're going to drop it, keeping that pressure point, and let it bounce. Simple as that. And just get a sense of what it's doing. Try the same thing with your other hand. If your stick isn't bouncing, check that pressure point and make sure you're not gripping the stick too far toward the tip or too far toward the back. You want to have it about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way back on the stick, so that you have a nice point here that the stick is pivoting in. And we're just going to let it bounce. The important thing here is not to do any of the work for the stick. Let the stick do the work. Let the stick bounce freely. All you're doing is dropping it once. Easy peasy, right? Great. So now, what do we do with this information? We got a lot of information from how the stick bounces and how our hands work, right? What do we do with it? Start counting how many times your stick bounces. For real. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it kind of dribbles out, right? So try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Blah, 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 blah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hands not moving. The stick is doing all of that work. Okay? Now, count to 3 and catch it. 1, 2, 3, catch. 1, 2, 3. Anybody remember playing jacks? This kind of always reminds me of playing jacks or playing with like a super bouncy ball, and right, trying to catch it after a certain amount of bounces. You had that kind of time? I did. At one day, long time ago. 3 times and catch. All right, the next challenge. Try to make those bounces happen faster. How do we do that? How did I do that? How did I just go from these super huge wide bounces to... What did I do? I put some pressure into the tip of the stick. And how I did that was slightly changing the angle of my hand. Digging it in forward just subtly. So when I let it bounce the long way, it's very open. The stick is able to come the whole way back up in my hand. But if I don't want that long of a stroke, I can push it back down. Okay? I can push it back down with my index finger, and the angle of my hand. I can also give it a little pull behind the stick. More for later. So again, stick bounce, 3 times catch. 3 times catch. Try to shorten them. Catch, catch, catch. 1, 2, 3, catch. 1, 2, 3, squeeze. You can also think of that as a squeeze. 1, 2, 3, squeeze. Great. Now let's go twice. 1, 2, squeeze. 1, 2, squeeze. 1, 2, squeeze. 1, 2, squeeze. Got it? 1, 2, squeeze. Now check in here and make sure that you're not initiating 2 separate strokes and going 1, 2, squeeze. We don't want to do that. We want to avoid that. So if you're doing that, stop here, go back, start over with the exercise of just letting the hand drop and the stick do all the bouncing. You got to trust it. You got to trust it. It's going to work for you. Just let it happen. And then gradually get yourself up to angling in and stopping it with your squeeze. Try to keep these nice and even. if you want to start running, if you feel like, wow, they're sounding great, they're even, you want to start running them side by side, great, get into that. But here we're just focusing on that bounce and letting the stick do all of that work for you. That's it. You put in the time today. Great job.